Here we are, back at it again. Another night, another video. And today, the topic is why I started creating videos. All right, so simple, man. We finna rumble. I'm finna chop it up with y'all. Just give y'all a little bit now. Check this out. A lot of people, or people that I've met, or people that I hear, it's obvious, man. Let's be honest. It's obvious. People started making content and things like that. One, for their attention. Two, because they want to make money. Three, they think it's little to no work that they can just continuously get paid off of. Like most people, I ain't gonna say most people, a lot of people want to put in little effort and get the greatest return or the greatest reward off of it. In this microwave society, right? And in my life, that just it hasn't panned out that way for me. It hasn't happened that way for me. Not saying that I'm struggling, not saying that I'm doing bad, but a lot of things just didn't happen fast for me, right? Other things in my life happen very fast. Like a lot of things in my life transpire at an accelerated pace. But a lot of the goals that I had and a lot of the things that I seen myself doing in life, it didn't happen as fast as I would want it to happen. So I don't know anything about that. But why did I start making videos? And this is the reason, right? I started looking like when I was a little younger. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I did not see myself getting to this age. Today is my birthday. I'm 32 years old with the people I was hanging around, with the lives that I was associating myself with, and the lifestyles I was associating myself with. I did not think that I would make it to be this age. And not saying that I was just so deep involved in something I couldn't get myself out of. It's just most people that I talk to and most older people that I heard speak of certain things, it wasn't a life that I wanted. It wasn't a life that I wanted at all. I didn't see myself being anything like any other people that I was around or that I knew. So it took some time for me to start really thinking about like life at an older age, right? Even in my 20s. Like it took some time for me to start seeing myself as an old man, as an elder, as someone n- who I wanted to be. Let's just be honest. But now I'm at the age where I'm like, uh, I haven't really built a great business, a great enough business yet to where I could pass it down and leave it to others, to the youth and things like that, my children, things like that, right? So I was like, what's the biggest thing and what's the best way for me to pass game and knowledge and experiences and great stories down? And it's the internet, right? It's social media, it's things like that, which is why I associate and endeavor in different things and I participate in a lot of different things outside of what my occupation or my profession is. And I do things in the community because I want things to far outlive me, right? And one of those things that I think will be the works that I do. I guess you could call this entertainment. I don't consider myself a content creator. I just come on here and chop it up with y'all, try to share knowledge and experiences and stories and game that I've gathered over the years. And I feel like the best way to pass that down to the most amount of people is creating these videos, right? My biggest thing is, especially now at this point in my life, when I gain new experiences, when I accomplish something, when I reach new heights, I don't necessarily celebrate it on a large scale. Heck, majority of the times I don't even tell anybody. So for instance, like about 5 or 6 years ago, I learned about trading, technical analysis, all the different variables that go into that. And then I tried my hand at it. And at first, I could see a tiny bit of success. So I knew it worked. I knew it wasn't a scam from what I heard on the internet. And then I was like, okay, let me actually try to learn this. And then I did the day trading thing. Had a tiny bit of success until I gathered more information and realized most people are losers in that game. Then you learn the scalping, you learn the sniping, you learn all these different terms and all these different strategies and things like that. And then I finally found out what worked for me about a year ago. And since I've been implementing this, it's been working out for me. Now, that's not something I could pass down, but that's just an example of how a tiny success in my life, I don't really share that with the public and I don't really share that with people. I'm just giving you an example, right? But those are things that happen for me that like I get the experience, but I don't get to share. But the wisdom that I've gained over the years of my life, that is something that I get to share. A lot of the stories I can't come on here necessarily and tell y'all for obvious reasons. If you know, you know. I do feel like is I have a duty and an obligation to share those things with other people, right? Because somebody could learn from it, somebody could not. It's all up to them, and it's all up to me on whether I put it out or not. But also, the thing is, I have a bunch of young ones under me, right? And I have the youth, and I have people who come to me and ask me questions and things like that all the time for advice, and I'm like, it 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 takes a lot of out of you for you to be able to address 5, 10, 15, 20 people and be able to provide them all this specific knowledge and information and advice, right, on an individual basis, right, when they need it. Because I can't just give you advice and not explain the backstory or explain the why of it or explain the how I got to this level or explain how you might reach that. It takes a lot of time because I don't want to leave out all the different intricacies within that process, right? I don't want to guide you in the wrong way. So it takes time. Sometimes it could take hours. And I've had those guys at my house, on my couch, in my barracks, in whatever, in the car, or just chopping it up on the street. I've had those guys where we sit down and it takes me an hour or two or three, and I have to break this stuff down to them, right? Giving them this game, giving them this knowledge, giving them this advice that I've gotten over the years, and telling them to challenge me to see if what I'm providing them is correct or the best way for them, right? Don't just take my word for it. Go out there and search on your own and ask others who are far more successful than myself. That's what led me to do this because I can't touch each person on an individual basis all the time. And I remember I was at one of my homies' houses and we were all sitting around the table and me and her had talked a bunch of times about like my backstory and my life and everything because this is a person that was very close to me when I first got to El Paso, and she kind of like took me under her wing. Even though she's younger, she has more experience in the profession that I'm in than I do, so she was giving me the game, showing me the ropes, teaching me some things. But I had another one of the boys who was like, man, like EB, man, I know everybody's story at this table except yours. I know a lot about everybody here, but I don't really know that much about you. And not being funny, when I first got to Texas, that was by design. That was all by design. Like, I can shoot the stuff with you, I can kick it with you and kiki and haha and laugh and giggle with you, bro. But I'm not a silly, I'm not a goofy kind of dude. I'm just not. In my personal life, I'm square business at all times. And I don't know if it's because of what I came from or it was because of the hard times and the rough nights and the dark days I had. I don't know if it's because of that, but I like my seclusion. I like my alone time. I like my to myself time, right? Because it gets my mind right. It helps me refuel, it helps me recharge and things like that. But also it takes a lot out of me to be that silly, to be that funny, to be that goofy person. It takes a lot out of me because that's not really me. I ain't trying to sit and laugh and small talk and talk about BS with people all day. I'm just not. That's just not me. I would much rather be listening to a educational podcast, listening to someone successful speak, listening to somebody's stories about how they overcame things and how they got to where they are today, and how their stories and their wisdom and their knowledge and their experiences can help me build upon myself and be better. That's what I would much rather spend my time doing because I can't be good for anybody else unless I'm good. That's my biggest thing. I can't be a beacon of light for you if my light is always dim. I can't do it, right? So that's how I look at it. But that's what led me ultimately just to start making videos because my boy asked me this question and I was like, dang, like if I really sat down and talked to him about who I am, my backstory, what I came from, what I had to overcome, how I got here, why I'm here, and just let him know all the different things about my personality, my character, the why behind why I do certain things, then we'll be here for hours. And my homegirl at the time, she was kind of trying to tell him that like that'll be a different story for a different day because like EB is a lot to him, right? And not saying that I'm just this mystique, this mysterious person or anything like that. I'm very open. I'm very open and honest, and I'm very transparent because when I'm associating with people or when I'm in leadership over other people, I don't want them to see me make a decision and they have to question it. I want them to be somewhat on the same page as me as to why I'm doing that. Now, in leadership, I feel like not all the time you're gonna not I feel. I believe and I know it not all the time you're gonna give everybody all the information, right? Some information has to be left out because it's extremely sensitive, it's extremely confidential, right? But I want them to at least have somewhat of a footing and a grounding of where we are and where we're going, if that makes sense. I want them to understand that, like, first and foremost, I care about my people and I care about their success and I care about their well-being. So even though I'm hard on you, even though it may seem like I'm nonchalant, I don't want to be bothered, I don't care. That's not the case. I'm just taking in all of the information and I'm sorting through all these different bits and pieces of information so I can make the best decision for all of us, right? That's just how I think and that's how my information processing system works, right? My inner computer, if that's what you want to call it, my brain. So why did I start making these videos? It's for all those reasons. It's easier for me to get this out on a mass level rather than just talking to people individually. And I believe that a lot of times, like me and my brother B Jack, we'll chop it up and we'll talk about certain things. And he like, man, you need to put that out. You need to tell people this. And I'm like, it's not time. Not in my life and not for the world. Like I don't my story is not that unique. Like I'm not gonna act like I just came from a super troubled, super hard, like childhood and things like that, like some other people may have. I am not finna act like that. But I do believe how I handled certain situations and how I overcame certain obstacles was extremely unique. Because I read a ton of books, I listened to a lot of people talk, and I haven't heard it before. So when it comes to things like that, when it's all said and done and I'm already where I need to be in life, and I'm already fully established and taken care of, then I believe I can start, releasing that to people and giving them game on that. But by that time, the world gonna be so far gone and so far removed from the stuff that happened in my childhood and my life and me growing up that it may be applicable, it may not be. But yeah, not too much today, not too much on this topic. This is just kind of something that I wanted to put out because it's been on my mind for a long time. I just didn't really know how to make the video. I didn't know what I should include, what I should disclose or what I should not say. But I feel like I'm at a point now where I can start letting a little bit more out. Not too much because it could get me in trouble. But at the same time, enough. I feel like I have enough life experience. I've built a decent enough resume. I have enough skills, wisdom, and knowledge, and things like that to um to be able to advise people on certain things, especially young people. If you're in your 20s, or heck, even if you like that age 15 to 16, you could always inbox me and ask me questions because one thing about it, I'm not gonna leave you wrong, and I have a track record of success. People who are successful from this advice, right? I'm not just talking about me. To me, I'm just a regular person. But the people who come under me, the people in my tutelage, I'm not gonna lie. I've not produced, but I've assisted in a lot of people's success, right? And I'm proud of that. So that's all I wanted to come to y'all today about, and that's all I wanted to say, on my reason of why I started making videos. And that's all I got for y'all today. Y'all have a great day. I'm out.